Welcome back. You're still watching the SABC's Prime Biz. Now, as President Jacob Zuma's tenure as president comes to an abrupt end, stakeholders in business, some in labour and politics, are describing it as the most disastrous rule of power since the dawn of democracy. On his watch, the country lost a record number of more than 5 million jobs. Unemployment rose to nearly 30%. It's currently sitting at just under 27%. And virtually all rating agencies downgraded the country to almost junk status. Let's take a look.
Zuma came to power when the country's growth was above 3% and he inherited sound fiscus with a very healthy budget surplus. However, in the last medium-term budget policy statement, growth was revised down to 0.7% following a recession in the fourth quarter of 2016 and the first quarter of 2017. Government debt risen from 4.4% of GDP in 2007 to 17.6% in 2017. On his watch, the country has experienced a consistent negative global investor sentiment, which resulted in large capital outflows. These and other shortcomings of his administration have led to some lawmakers declaring that the country is facing a fiscal cliff.
His legacy is 9.4 million people who do not have jobs or have given up looking for jobs, 30.4 million people who live in poverty, and large-scale looting at zombie state-owned enterprises that now require billion-rand bailouts from pensioners. I don't think that it's an exaggeration to say that President Jacob Zuma over the last decade has murdered the economy in South Africa.
If you were to look at the economic indicators at the time when he took over government in 2009, whether you're looking in terms of the debt to GDP ratio at the time and general fiscal prudence of the government at the time, he took over a government that was government finances that were in sound health, but in a very short space of time, due to corruption and issues of state capture, that debt has ballooned to about 60% of GDP, but there's very little to show for it on the ground. But if you also want to look at the negative effect of President Zuma's leadership, one is to look no further than the current economic growth rate of this country, primarily because a lot of people have lost confidence in the leadership of President Zuma and his administration.
Both Mania and Kwankwa argue that declining business confidence and uncertainty, which have been dominant factors during his reign, have substantially capped foreign direct investments and entrenched low economic growth. They say these have resulted in credit rating downgrades, rapid exchange rate depreciation, and massive capital flight. Labour experts say the working class and the poor have been the most hard hit by these developments. Ironically, Zuma was brought to power based on the fact that he was friendly to the poor and the working class, but the plight worsened during his administration.
The point is, what we have here is a series of ad hocism in terms of policy making, and I mean that's and peppered, of course, with corruption, with thievery, etc. A kleptocracy, a system of self-enrichment, is never good for workers, and there's been nothing that's been done in terms of a coherent industrial policy or anything that would benefit workers. So we've had more and more job losses, and I suspect we will have more going ahead. We also have on the books at the moment in Parliament two amendments to legislation, one new bill, that's the minimum wages bill, and amendments to the LRA, the Labour Relations Act, and the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, which are actually going to undermine what the power workers already enjoy.
What is worse, according to Bell, was a split within COSATU, which he argues has severely weakened the union and eroded workers' power.
Principled unity is the perfect thing, is the best thing. Unity for the sake of unity, which is what the ANC is pushing and what Zuma has been pushing, is wrong. But he has, because of this business of being allied to, the COSATU being allied to the government and this press for unprincipled unity, we've had a splits in the unions. And any split within the organised workers is bad for workers. It weakens the working class, it weakens the ability of workers to negotiate better wages, conditions, skills, uplifting, etc.
Bell says Zuma leave office amid high levels of unemployment and job losses. The country is also facing close to 51 billion rand hole in revenue collection. Several state-owned enterprises are mired in mismanagement and poor corporate governance. Speculation is rife that personal income tax and value-added tax are likely to become targets of Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba, as he will be trying to plug this multi-billion rands fiscal hole in his next budget speech. Manelisi Tubase, SABC News, Parliament.